Chelsea target Christopher Nkunku injured in France training. Christopher Nkunku is a player who is now very close to becoming a Chelsea player, but his World Cup dreams may just have been put in doubt due to a collision with Real Madrid's Eduardo Camavinga in France training. France were training in Clairefontaine before they jet off to Qatar, and Camavinga launched into a challenge which left Nkunku on the ground in apparent agony. It is a worry for not only Didier Deschamps and France, but Chelsea too. RMC Sport reported that Christopher Nkunku had limped off the training pitch at Clairefontaine after a collision with Eduardo Camavinga, and the injury is a supposed foot injury. The extent of the injury is unknown and will not be known until tomorrow, when a prognosis can be gathered. The player is likely to have a scan to determine how bad an injury it is. Christopher Nkunku is moving closer and closer to signing for Chelsea, in a deal that is likely to be for the summer of 2023. Fabrizio Romano has described the deal as ready. Graham Potter and Chelsea will be hoping the injury is nothing more than a small impact injury, and that it doesn't affect Nkunku too much ahead of the move. The French fans and players will also hold their breath, as a fit Christopher Nkunku will be vital to their hopes of winning a World Cup. Chelsea and Mason Mount will continue contract negotiations in January. Mason Mount's contract has been a situation Chelsea have been keen to tie up for a long while now, as they expect the midfielder to be a large part of the rebuild under Graham Potter in the coming years. The midfielder is entering the final 2 years of his contract at the club, and negotiations are still not complete regarding a new contract, which has led to some unrest among Chelsea fans. Reports this morning, however, are suggesting there is optimism around a new deal. According to Simon Johnson of The Athletic, there is now great optimism around a new deal for Chelsea midfielder Mason Mount, and contract talks will be revisited in January. Mount is of course off to the World Cup in Qatar with England, and will be looking to have a big tournament with England, having some decent chances of going all the way. There is optimism around the chances of Mount signing a new deal, which is no surprise given how important he is to the current Chelsea setup. Graham Potter has previously spoken about how important the midfielder is to what Chelsea plan to do in the future, and he is expected to play a major part in the next few years for the club. Nothing done yet, but Mason Mount is expected to sign a new deal at Chelsea. Former Chelsea defender Gary Cahill retires. Chelsea have had some brilliant defenders over the years, but not many better than Gary Cahill in his absolute prime. The English defender had some great years for Chelsea, but has finally decided to call time on his career. Cahill won some huge trophies at Chelsea during his time at the club, and was part of a brilliant centre-back partnership alongside the iconic John Terry. It is a sad but celebratory day for the ex-Chelsea man, who has been a free agent since July. Gary Cahill announced his retirement today, having not played for a club since leaving Bournemouth back in July. The former Chelsea defender is the fastest player in Premier League history to win every major honour on offer, and retires at 35 years old after a glittering career. Cahill was part of the first ever Champions League winning side Chelsea had in 2012, and will always be remembered in history at the club for his years of service. For England he got 61 caps, and scored 5 goals. An impressive return for a defender. In 290 appearances for Chelsea, the defender scored 25 goals and got 7 assists. Every player eventually has to call time on their career, but Gary Cahill can certainly look back on his with a huge sense of achievement considering the career he had. A Chelsea legend in the greatest sense. Chelsea in talks to sign Arsen Zakarian from Dynamo Moscow. The Arsen Zakarian to Chelsea saga has been one that's been going on a while now, but it has been hampered by restrictions by FIFA and UEFA in terms of signing Russian players from Russian clubs. Chelsea have huge interest in Arsen Zakarian, and are adamant he is a huge player for the future, but up till now have been unable to put any concrete plans down to sign the player. Zakarian is willing to join, and the clubs are now in talks over the deal. According to Fabrizio Romano, talks are currently ongoing for Chelsea to sign Dynamo Moscow's Arsen Zakarian. It is not something that is complete or imminent right now, but it is a deal that Chelsea are currently the favourites to complete. The Blues are frontrunners as it stands, and the player is keen on the switch. Chelsea view Zakarian as a major player for the future, and as they continue their pursuit of top young talents, they want him to be part of that next generation at the club. Discussions according to Romano are happening on the club side and the player side, but nothing yet is close to being completed at this very moment. Arsen Zakarian to Chelsea is a deal to keep an eye out for in the next couple of months, with Chelsea fully expecting to sign the player. Brazilian starlet Hendrick has spoken about what he wants to achieve and where he would like to play in his career. The Brazilian forward has become a sensation for his club side Palmeiras this season, scoring 9 goals in 14 games across 600 minutes in Brazil. The 16-year-old has also scored 5 goals in 4 games for his country's under-16 team and is now a top target for some of Europe's elite teams, most notably Real Madrid, PSG, and Chelsea. It is widely known and well reported that the Blues have laid a lot of the groundwork to attract Endrick to Stamford Bridge, with Thiago Silva said to have shown the youngster's family around Cobham in the past month. Speaking to Brazilian outlet TV Gazeta, Endrick emphasized his desire to play in Europe, wherever that may be. "My dream is to play in Europe, but what I want is to be playing. At the moment, I'm focused on Palmeiras and I don't care where I'll be playing in the future." The forward mentioned all of Europe's top 5 leagues as possible future destinations for himself, with the confidence that he could visualize playing in any of them once he turns 18. There's the Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, League One. I play video games a lot, I make a career out of playing. I watch all the leagues, I play in all the leagues, practically. I see myself playing in any league. With Endrick the hottest Brazilian prospect in football since Neymar burst onto the scene with Santos, the fight for his signature could be one of the most intense we have seen in recent years. Paul Winstanley leaves Brighton to join Chelsea. Chelsea are continuing their reshuffle of the backroom staff, and have appointed former Brighton director Paul Winstanley as the latest director to join the Todd Boehly revolution. Talks have been ongoing for a while, and the deal is finally done. Winstanley is the second person Chelsea have signed from Brighton in recent times, after they took Graham Potter from the club. Todd Boehly is not thought to be finished employing new directors, with more expected through the door soon. As announced by Chelsea earlier today, Paul Winstanley has joined the club from Brighton on a permanent basis, and will become another one of the new directors the club are employing to kickstart the revolution. Winstanley has been appointed to the role of Global Talent and Transfer Director, and it is an exciting appointment for Chelsea. The club continue to grow under Boehly, and Christopher Vivell is expected to be appointed next. Todd Boehly spoke about how excited the club were to have a director like Paul Winstanley at the club upon the appointment being announced. "Paul is going to be a great addition. He's highly respected as key senior addition as we continue to build a world-class sporting team. Chelsea want to rise to the elite again, and Todd Boehly is adamant that with the right people behind the scenes that is a serious possibility."